Martin and welcome to another great edition of MP Astro. Now, I've been scouring around through the internet looking for ways, looking for new ideas to utilise some pretty good projects, particularly within a budget. A lot of the equipment that's out there, and I'll be honest with you, some of the nice Gucci accessories that you can get for telescopes to help you improve on the performance of the telescope, to improve on your views, to improve on your astro images. Right, there's a lot of good stuff out there, but the biggest factor is there's a lot of stuff that's out there that it's either just gimmicks, they're just sake-ofs, I call them. I've got to have it because it's different, it does a different purpose, I've got to have this. But in astronomy, it's not necessarily true. There's a lot of nice Gucci equipment out there, and you can spend a ton of money on things that, do I really need that? That's a thing, that's the question you need to ask yourself. You can spend a lot of money in this money pit of a hobby. Because believe me, there is loads of Gucci items out there, or a necessity, quite handy, but again, they're just gimmicks, they're just must-haves. Alright, and yes, I'll be honest with you guys and girls, I have fallen into that trap where I just feel, oh, that's a nice Gucci gadget, I'm gonna have that, realizing that it's like 200, 300 pounds, a grand, and you go, what did I spend there? And there's times where I bought something, used it, and I've gone, why did I waste that money on that? Why did I waste that money on that particular item? And sometimes I've sold it on because I don't use it. What is the purpose of using something that you're not going to use, or you just use it once or twice and that's it? So there's a lot of products out there. There are some good products, don't get me wrong guys and girls, there's loads of good products out there that you can use. However, I've been looking at this device, and I'll be honest with you guys and girls, what that device is a Cassegrain or Schmidt Cassegrain or Maksutov cooler. Now this cooling system, all it is this device sucks in the air from the outside. And what that does is, as it sucks the air, it draws the air, the filtered air, inside the optical tube. And what that does, it recirculates the incoming air from the ambient temperature from the outside, and it withdraws out all that trapped air, or the warm air, inside the optical tube. This process is called the cool down process. Now, when you have a Maksutov like the Maksutov 127 or the Maksutov 180, because it's a closed tube, compound lens and mirror element telescope, all that warm air, so if you have that telescope in a warm room and you took it outside, you're going to get turbulence in your images. So the cool down period is very crucial for any telescope that has a closed tube design. Even for open tube design, you still got to allow the telescope to cool down for a good few minutes before you use it. And the reasons for that is that all you're doing is you're allowing the trapped air to allow to escape through the optical tube. This is the biggest problem with Maksutov and Schmidt Cassegrain telescopes. Because they're closed tube design, the only air that can escape is literally from the eyepiece holder, from that end only. So what these coolers are, they allow to draw, this fan to draw in the ambient temperature into the main tube and then withdraw all the warm air out. What that does, it speeds up the cooling process down. That's all it is. So for my Maksutov, for example, my Mac 180, it takes around a good 2 hours for the whole optical system to cool down fully, so that I can maximize my views, so I can see better. When the tube is cooled down, you can see a lot better, you get a lot less turbulence on the planets and the moon, and you can see the features. It's really important, that cool down process. But have you noticed one thing about that SCT cooler? Yeah, exactly. It is absolutely hideously expensive for what it is. And seriously, who will pay 101? Who will pay 130, 150, almost £200 for a SCT cooling system, which basically all it is a fan that draws the air through a tube to allow them to pass through the other side. That's all it is. So I'm thinking, oh guys and girls, why don't we just make it? Why don't we just make it ourselves? So in this video, like always, I'm going to make this device. Why not? And I'm going to make it cheaper. That cheap, that it's going to cost me £50 or less. So I'm going to try my best, see if I can make this device myself, this SCT cooler, and save a lot of money in the process. So if you like this video already, please hit the like button. And again, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe onto my channel and hit the notifications bell. By hitting the notifications bell, you'll get notified for any new videos that will be coming out very, very soon. And believe me, I've got tons of information. And again, please share this video out, because this video is going to help a lot of people. In particular, if you're guys and girls who own a cement cast screen or a Maksutov telescope with a closed tube compound telescope, and you're having similar problems with turbulence in your images, this device is going to help you guys and girls. So if you're interested and you want to find out more and how I'm going to do this project, please keep watching and let's do this.
So the first item you're going to need is this. This is a 80mm fan. Alright, all the stuff that's going to be mentioned in the video will be at the description below, so please check out the description on all the parts I've used to make this project. At the moment it's sealed up, but I'll show you an example of a typical fan. Now here is a 40mm one, and this 40mm fan is powered by main supply. You can use USB supply, it really is up to you, but one thing I find out with mains is the fans are a lot more powerful. Alright, you do get a lot more airflow coming through a main supply one. And again, it has a series of different speeds. Now the 40mm fan is a bit on the small side, so I'm using an 80mm fan, which is twice as big as this one. All right, so it pushes out more airflow. I like these systems because they come as a complete unit. All right, you do get a decent cable in there. So when you get a fan, just check which side of the air is blowing. So on this one, on these fans, usually it's the label that's highlighted there that has the air getting blown outwards that way. So when you try out your fan, check it out first to determine which side is blowing, because that is the side you need to have this project to work effectively. So with these, it's always the label that seems to have the functionality. So with the label here, it blows the cold air this way. So now you figure out which side is blowing on which side. We know that this side is blowing the cold air. So all we got to do is, because this is double guarded, you just need to remove these screws. and they'll come out like so, exposing the fan. So these screws are quite a large coarse thread. Now, as we can see here, we've now got the fan with a nice flat surface. So get yourself a Perspex plastic sheeting. This one I've got is 6mm thick. You can either use 3mm or 5mm, but I went for the 6mm. Don't know why, but it's a lot more robust. And because it's got a plastic sheeting over, I find it's very useful to mark the exact size. So I use a scriber. You can use a pencil or you can use a pencil or any marker, but I'm going to use a scriber for this part. And all you do is you can mark all the way around like so, line up the edge and just mark out exactly this same size fan. But one thing I've noticed about this one is that because the screws are almost at the edge, I'm going to make this plastic cut a little bit bigger so it overlaps. So what I'm going to use is an engineering square, and I'm going to mark up 85mm. It's slightly oversized in the 80mm square of this fan, but the reasons for that is those screws are very close to the edge. So I'm going to make my fan slightly, I'm going to make the plastic housing a little bit bigger. Alright, so by doing that I'm going to mark out 85 I want, like so. Because I'm using an engineer square, I can measure exactly 85mm I need. Okay, so I'm going to double check. Right, so there's 85 there. So I'm going to line up 85 on this point here. Right, so I've got my marking there. I'm just going to score the line across. As you can see, I've measured 85cm there, and then from that line, I'm going to line it up to here, like so. Alright, and I'm going to score the line across from there. So as you can see here, I've got an 85mm square plastic. So it's slightly oversized. As you can see, I'm slightly oversized, but there's a reason for that, is because of those screws being quite close to the edge. As you can see here, if we place the fan, you can see where you can line up your holes. Alright, so we'll line up the holes each corner with the fan guard. However, before we do that, we need to mark out edge to edge of our, so you measure one corner to the other corner, like so. Score a perfect line, like so. So that corner, and then you score another line, as you can see here, from this corner, like so, to that corner. So as you can see here, we've got a dead center of a hole we want to form there, which we'll explain later on. So as you can see here, I like about this clear plastic stuff, you can mark down the plastic with a scriber and you can mark out the holes. So that will mark out the dead center of
that point. So before you cut this plastic to form a perfect square, be aware that you must drill a hole first at this point and use a hole cutter like this kit here that I've got. Now I'll provide a link for this kit, but this is a very good but very cheap kit, and the hole that I will be using comes with a special adapter, and the hole I'm using is a 51mm hole cutter. Okay, and this can just extract onto any power drill with its special adapter, like so. You just tighten it up with the plate and you just connect this hole cutter onto your drill, right, electric drill. Make sure that the settings is off, the hammer settings, if it has hammer settings. But this is the kit, very good kit, piece of kit. Again, I provide the links below if you want to order this kit. Alright, but it's very handy to cut nice, perfect circles. Now the reason to cut the hole first before you cut the square is you need to have this clamped so that the hole cutter does create a lot of drag. Alright, as it's cutting through the dead center of that hole, you're cutting into the material like so. Your hands will be in the way of it. So please, before you use a jigsaw to cut that square, cut out the hole first beforehand. So as you can see, I've cut the hole. I've not cut out the square just yet, but as you can see, you've got a rough hole. You can just file that down, use a bit of sandpaper just to smooth it out. But it's a lot safer to cut the hole first than to cut the whole square out. Okay. And also with this slightly oversized, we can now measure up the you should have a perfect hole in the center. Okay, so you've got a bit of an air gap there. Alright, so the fan blades are still exposed in there. Ideally I wish I could have it a little bit bigger, but the hole cutter the next size up will be a bit too big. But the whole idea is I'm trying to the fan will squeeze out the air anyway into that hole, so it will create a bit of pressure. Alright, I know it sounds very strange at first, but when you restrict the pipe or the diameter of the pipe or whatever, the air will get drawn in, and all you're doing is compressing the pressure of that air. So it will be explanatory later on, but first off we need to measure up these holes first. Now you can use the actual guard itself. If we take a closer look, so you can use the guard, you can use the existing guard to mark out the holes. Alright. However, I find that a better solution, instead of using the guard itself, I'm going to use a fan filter. Right, I've got a fan filter here with holes drilled out. So with this, I'm just going to prise out the fan filter. So unclip the fan filter, and it exposes the actual internal part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the holes. Okay, so I'll just try and get it like so. We'll try and get it square enough. Alright, and I'm just going to score my holes. Like so. So we've got some rough holes there, alright, to place our fan. So with those holes now pre-marked, we're just going to drill 3mm holes, depending on what size screws they are. From look at these look like 5, maybe 4mm screws, like so. So now we've got the hole drilled. We've put the 5mm holes as well for our mounting screws, and not a bad job. We're going to peel back the protective sleeve, okay, and then there we go. So as you can see there, pull it back and we've got our Perspex. We're going to use this side because this is scored, alright, as you can see there, but clean it up with a rag or something like that and be fine. So now what you're going to do, you can then just line up the fan. Because it's oversized, we can screw on the screws. So you can use the existing screws, okay, and you just screw them on there, okay, which is fine. However, I want to put different size screws because these are just not long enough, so I'm going to change these screws over for something else. All right, but that's the idea. Now the reason I want to use longer screws is I'm going to be placing a filter here and a filter there, so it's double filtration. So I'm going to use longer screws to screw onto the fan, onto the base. I mean, this fan filter I've got here is okay. It filters a lot of the dust, but it will still allow some of the minute particles. So with this fan filter, I really want a much more finer filtration. So this would be part of the filtration system, but I find that this is a bit too coarse. Alright, so it will allow some of the dust. So I don't want that. I want to place another filter at the back of there. So that's my double filtration system. So I'm going to use longer screws for this. So as you can see, I'm using different screws. These are 1/2 inch long, alright, and probably around about maybe 3.5 mil thread type screw. I'm not quite sure, but because these are longer, alright, I want to put an internal thread in between there. At the moment, the thread, the internal filtration system's not in yet, but when it comes through the post, I'll be showing that how to do that. So basically, I'm just going to screw this in like so, and these screw quite well anyway, but very easy to fix, as you can see there. So I'm just going to screw them in like so. We're going to remove the fan guard. Now, I know it sounds a bit stupid removing that fan guard, but the fan filter has its own guard, so there's no need for this part there. But however, you will need to clamp this on there like so. So it's basically an existing fan guard, you're just replacing that over like so. So you just line up the holes. There you go. So now you've got your primary filter. It's already got a fan guard. You just place the filter over, and then all you do is just clip the existing one over like so. Like so. Alright, so now you've got your fan filter and guard in there, and this will protect some of the big debris from entering the main tube, right? It's very crucial to have at least one filter. So as you can see now, we've connected up the fan onto the mains. We're just going to double check, see if the fan filter and guard does not trap the fan. So So this is at low setting. There's a rush of air. I can feel at this end air is getting drawn in. And this is at maximum speed. And I can feel, wow, look at that. I can feel a lot of cool air entering there. So we now know that this is now, we now know that this fan is now not catching on the fan filter itself. So that's good news. Now this is a reduction pipe. Now again, the link's at the bottom below. This reduction pipe is a 50mm diameter. It's the biggest one I could find at the moment. There are bigger ones as well. And again, depending on your size, you may wish to make the hole bigger so you can maximize as much of the airflow as possible. If you can find something that's bigger, unfortunately the tube itself, I picked this size. You may want to go something different. But I picked this one because it's got the biggest 50mm aperture and it's got a 20mm reduction. So I don't want a massive pipe going across. I just want something that's quite compact, but also allow enough to allow air to pass through. So this reduction pipe is going to mount on top of the plate like so. So this is a good chance or good opportunity to start sanding down any burrs, making sure that this plate is nice and flush like it is. Don't worry if you scratch it slightly. All you're going to do is roughen this edge as best you can, so it's nice and flat, plus a bit of roughness. With the funnel pipe itself, alright, restriction pipe, you're going to sand down the edge, alright, like so. So what you're doing is you're sanding the edge, you get a rough surface there, alright. All you're doing here is creating a better bond, okay. Once you've roughened it up, right, like so, you've got a nice rough edge there. That's all you need to do, okay, with this pipe. Then we're going to use Araldite. I love using Araldite because Araldite's really good. This is a 5-minute bonding epoxy Araldite. Very good glue indeed, and you can glue it on multiple things. So this is a fast setting Araldite. So all you need to do is just use a little bit of it. That's all you need to do. Okay, get the mixture like so. Try and get equal quantities if you can. I think I've just used a bit more hardener there, so I'm just going to add a bit more of that. So once I get the epoxy and hardener, okay, we're going to mix it up. I prefer to use Araldite. You can use super glue, but personally Araldite gives out a much better bond. It's stronger and it's more of a permanent fix. Super glue doesn't seem to cut it, to be honest with you, but Araldite does. It's very high strength. I've had no dramas with this stuff whatsoever. Alright, very good metal glue as well. Again, it can be used for other things, but it's very good at bonding plastics as well. So with that, all you do is grab the funnel piece and then you're just going to dab a good layer of Araldite like so. So with this layer, we can now grab a plate and you're going to line it up like so, making sure that this funnel is central to the hole like so, and then we just flip it round and just leave it to bond for 5 minutes. Depending on what adhesive you use, this stuff will set in no time, okay? So give it a good 5 minutes, 10 minutes, the longer the better the bond, and we should be good to go. So now, after the glue's dried, we've got a really good seal now. It's all glued up. It's not going anywhere now. That's very strong. Okay, so as you see there, what we're going to do is we're going to place the fan back like so, and then screw it back on the housing. So with the system to work effectively and able to purge out the hot air that's trapped inside the closed tube telescope, you'll need this component. Now this is a 38mm, which is the open end here, to a 31mm, which, believe it or not, this fits an 1.25" format eyepiece holder. Now you can use a 2-inch format pipe, but to be honest with you, I just want a single fit that will fit all my existing telescopes from 1 inch or up to 2-inch format. So after a bit of drilling, I decided to go for 8 holes, and they're all quadrant each other. So there's 2 holes there, 2 holes there, 2 holes there, 2 holes there. So there's 8 holes in a quad formation. As you can see here, these holes will be the exhaust ports. So in other words, any warm air will be pushed out through these holes. Right? So you can see how this system is more or less going to work. So the next step is you're going to roughen the tube up. So roughen this side up. Alright, creating a good clean surface, but a rough surface. As you can see here, what we're going to do is we're going to glue this like always, and we're going to make sure that we're centre between the porthole. Okay, that's what we're going to do. To be able to do that, so we can make sure that it fits properly, is to make sure that you fit. If you fit the pipe in first, okay, you fit it in just snugly, and then you feed the exhaust port like so, and with that you're going to make sure that this is nice and centre, so you've got a bit of a gap. There's like a good 5mm gap each side. So what you're trying to do is you put a smear of glue at the bottom and then fix it onto the chamber like so, and it should be nice and secure. That's all you need to do. So we're mixing up the glue, same detail, using the Araldite, even epoxy and hardener glue if required. Then we get the exhaust port like so. We're going to put some on the exhaust port like so. So a good layer. Like so, a good layer of glue. Just work it in first, don't need to rush it. Good layer of that glue on there, that's all it takes. Again, just make sure you apply it all the way around, all the way down, like so, and then we're going to position. So, after you leave your SCT cooler, as you can see here, it should look like this. Now, as you can see, we've let the glue set. I've literally set it for a good 3 or 4 hours, and as you can see there, if we take the tube off, so as you can see, I've actually placed some Phillips screws between the exhaust port and the inlet port. This will help to make the whole unit rigid. I've only put 2. You may wish to put 3 or 4, alright, depending on your design.
but I think 2 will be more than ample just to secure the exhaust port. Now, as you can see there now, it's really rigid now. It's not going to budge anywhere. Using good quality glue like Araldite that I've been using is probably the best one to use for this purpose. So now, as you can see, we've got a solid unit. The whole port is clear and center, and that is the actual design. So then, guys and girls, we're now at the tricky part. Now this is very crucial that you get this right. We've got our unit, our SCT cooler here. What we're going to do is we're going to get the pipe. We're going to fix this pipe through the hole like so. So we fit it on there, and you just push it in. Right, now you can glue it in, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to push it in so that I can change the length of pipe when I want to. Now this is really crucial now. What you got to be careful now is that this pipe that I'm holding is quite long. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we take off any eyepiece holder caps or desiccant caps. I'm going to use a 2-inch format 1.25" adapter, and I slide this through onto the SCT cooler. I then lock it in place, and then I'm going to carefully slide. So as you can see, as I'm sliding the main tube, you look through until you see. At this point, I'm going to stop pushing it because I think that is close enough. You don't want the SCT cooler to be touching any part of the secondary mirror shroud or touching any of the optical coatings or the glass itself. So once you get to a certain part, I would say a good 2, maybe 3 inches away from the secondary mirror is sufficient enough. And as you can see there, I have cut the pipe down to 44 centimeters. So 44 centimeters, providing this tube here itself, the actual main tube on the Maksutov 180 is around about 50 centimeters long. So 44 is probably ideal. Don't forget, if you've got any different attachments or eyepiece holders or anything like that, will actually affect the actual overall length. So 44 centimeters seems to be ideal for my telescope. But again, like always, check the actual size, feed in the draw pipe gradually. Once you've got your desired length, providing you're good 2, maybe 3 inches away from the secondary mirror or on the Maksutov, you should be fine. All right, and as you can see, I've slotted it in place, and all I do is now is just slide in the tube like so, and it fits in perfectly. So now, what I've done now, I've got the pipe, and as we take a closer look, what I've done to the pipe, as you can see here, I've done 4 holes, and what I've done is I've done it adjacent to each other, so they're at 90 degrees. These 4 holes are 5mm, so I've used a 5mm drill bit to drill the 2 ones across, and then the ones here, what I did was drill at an angle, a slight angle, okay, for this hole and that hole, okay. And the reasons for that is to redirect some of the cold air onto the meniscus lens. What you need to do then is just carefully just clean up the ends, make sure that there's no there's no fragments like this. Okay, so if you do get a bit of plastic, try and clean up the plastic as best you can. All right, once it's all cleaned up, all right, and you're happy with it, then make sure that all this is all cleaned up as best you can. So I've got a plastic bung. This is like a 12mm diameter, and it fits. In fact, it's 14mm diameter, and it fits perfectly. This 14mm just fits flush on this end. So with this plastic bung, I'm going to use a little bit of super glue. So it's now glued up. And what we're going to do now, make sure that the pipe is facing that way, so the rubber bung is that way, and then you're going to slide this pipe in there. So the other components come finally. It did take a while, but this is the Alaska 80mm aluminium dust fan gauze or shield, and this will block out some of the bigger particles. So with this gauze, I'm going to remove the fan. So I'm going to remove the fan, as you can see, off there. So I'll remove this shield. So remove these screws. So I've screwed the fine filter on there with the normal screws there. Okay, so I know that's nice and secure. So we've got the fine filter. We now can install the coarse filter, the aluminium filter, which will block out some of the bigger particles. Then we're going to tighten her up. Like so. So now what we've got is we've got a double filtration system. One for the coarse end, which will filter some of the bigger particles of any dust. We've got the shield as well. You don't have to install it, but personally I would do that just to protect the filter itself. So we've got the shield as well. That will stop it will prevent damage onto that shield. And also we've got the internal fine filter as well. So we've got two methods of filtration on the fan unit. This is very important to install these filter units, because if you don't install these filter units, what will happen is you're drawing dust particles into the main tube, and then you're going to get dust everywhere, all on your optics. So this is the reason why I've installed this double protection.
You know what the best thing about my design for my SCT cooler? I made this design so that I can disconnect the cooling pipe for the Mac 180, and then I've made one for the Maksutov 127, which I've got here. This pipe is around 30 centimeters long. Again, it just depends on how far your eyepiece holder and your connections. All right, so this is just an example. I've worked out it's 30 centimeters or 12 inches long, and as you can see, as we disconnect the 1.25 inch eyepiece holder, we then connect the adapter like so, and then we feed it through carefully, like so, and it just slots in perfectly. And as you can see there, with this SCT cooler, I can now fit it onto my Maksutov 127 and cool this telescope down. And like always, so simple to use. I've got my power, I connect it up to the mains, like so. And with that, I've got my power settings to low power. Then you got medium power, and then you got high power. So as you can see there, it works for this telescope. So with my design, this is just a push fit design. It's not going to blow the tube off, so don't you worry about that. So I've got two separate pipes that I can use on my Maksutov 180 and my Maksutov 127. So really impressive results there. And also, if we disconnect that, and like always, utilising things that I found in the house that I was going to throw away. I found an old like fishing rod case, and this fishing rod case is actually pretty good, that I can put my SCT cooler in there like so, put the cable in, alright, and with that I'll put the spare pipe in there, and there you go. I've got my own case for my SCT cooler. So pretty impressive stuff. So if you've got a spare little fishing rod bag like this, alright, I've got my SCT cooler in there. Alright, so it looks like I bought it like I bought it straight from a national retailer. So then, guys and girls, we're bringing in my Maksutov, and we're going to test out the cooler. And to do a genuine test, I'm going to set the telescope first, so that at the moment this telescope has been dragged from my house straight away. Okay, so we're going to test it out without any cooling. Alright, it's very important that every time you set up the telescope, you set it so that you allow it to cool down for about a good 2 hours or so. But we've just got the moon up the top. As you can see, it's not quite dark, but we can make out what we're going to do with the moon. We're going to quickly switch on the power on the mount. I'm not going to do a go-to, I'm basically going to salute the target towards the moon, okay, and do a quick test. Okay, so at the moment I'm just going to activate my scene scan. As you can see, the kids are still playing outside, so if there's any noise behind me, that'll be the kids next door. Alright, but not to worry, we can still enjoy the moon. At the moment the telescope is now cooling down, so bear with me, guys and girls. I want to show you what's it like through that telescope when it's got a lot of okay, so I'm going to connect the Wi-Fi. It does take a while, but once I get it ready, okay, just bear with me, guys and girls. So I'm going to connect it to the mount. I've just done an update on this SynScan, so just trying to connect to the mount. Okay, it's playing silly buggers. Just try and activate that again. Check the Wi-Fi, yes. Okay, I'm connected. Getting some power. Should be getting some power. Okay, I think my SynScan app is not playing ball, so I'm going to trust on the trusty handset like always. I'm going to sort out this SynScan, which is a real shame, but I'm just going to trust on the trusty handset. And again, relying too much on apps, it's not always the case. So we're going to connect her up to the traditional handset, and we're just going to do a mild slew. We're not going to do any pull alignment as such. We're just going to slew to our target because the clouds are coming. Okay, so with that, I'm just going to quickly slew to my target. No, right, I'm just going to slew straight away. Rate 9. Been a while since I operated this mount for a bit, so I'm going to slew to the target. It's the first time I've used this mount for a while. It's not been good sky conditions whatsoever. So as you can see, we're slewing to our target. I'm going to switch on the camera. So bear with me, if you can't see what I'm doing, I'm going to line up the telescope tube. Okay, we're on there now. Just bear with me, guys and girls. So we're on there. We're just going to line her up. Now the moon, it's quite a good scene actually through the finder scope. As you can see, we're now at the moon. We're just going to focus the telescope, and like always, I forgot my damn focuser. In fact, thank God I've got it. I've got my focuser. So as you can see, catching my focuser up. Like so. I'm going to switch off the light. So at the moment, we're just going to focus once we get right. So we're there. Just going to focus the image. I've got a nice crisp lunar. I've got half a moon just about. I'm just going to focus the image. Okay, we've got the image focused. We're just going to because the moon is not quite dark enough, we're going to adjust the so I'm going to record it anyway. So with me recording it, so let me just make sure I've got my recorder in there. Yes, we have. Okay, so right, so we're now recording it, and as you can see, it's got some good detail. I'm going to fix the rate to 3, and as you can see, we've got some really good, oh, it's a very nice crisp image there of the moon. As you can see there, really impressed with that. So what we're going to do is just to prove that this is no makeshift stuff. Alright, I'm just going to tilt the camera down. Alright, the moon is right up there. It's right up there. I can't angle it because the lack of space I've got in my observatory, but as you can see, we've got the moon focused, and as you can see, we've got some really good crisp detail there. I'm just going to slew it across. Now, as you can see there, there's a bit of shimmering, but what we'll do is so we're going to. So I've done a digital zoom of just the camera so that you can see. Look at that shimmering there. It's really bad. It's really bad shimmering, and as you can see there, it just shows you what it's like. Now I'm going to set the tracking because I haven't got it power lined. I haven't got it on the go-to. I've just done a quick slew and that is it. So if I can set up the tracking, maybe I can get a reasonable tracking. I'm going to select lunar rate. Right, so I'm now tracking using lunar rate on there on my handset. I don't know why the SynScan app wasn't working, and maybe I need to do an update. So I'm now tracking the moon, and as you can see there, we've got a lot of shimmering, lots of shimmering there. So it just shows you, if I zoom in on the camera, yeah, this is on 3x zoom, and you can see a lot of shimmering there. It's really all over the place. Now we've got a passing cloud, so the cloud doesn't help much either. So we've got some good detail, but we've got the Terminator part, we've got a bit of, yeah, Ticho. Like I say, I don't normally lunar work that much, but as you can see there, we've got some good detail. But look at the shimmering, right? There's a lot of shimmering in there. So now, because there's a lot of shimmering, I'm going to stop the recording, and with that I'm going to switch off the camera, and we're going to test out the SCT Cooler. So with that SCT Cooler, so we've got the SCT Cooler, as you see. We're going to connect it to the telescope, slot it in there carefully, like so. So we've got it now lined up on our SCT Cooler. Right, so now we're going to switch on the SCT Cooler, like so, and we're going to switch her on. So like you see there, I can feel the warm air coming out of that tube now. So what we're going to do with this SCT Cooler, I'm going to time it. So I'm going to put it on the timer. Right, and I'm going to give it a good 15 minutes, and hopefully the clouds dissipate and you'll get to see if it's improved the quality of the image. So bear with me, guys and girls. I'm going to go back to my house, have a quick brew whilst this is on time. Okay, so I'll see you in 15 minutes. What I'll do is I'll speed up the video so that it's genuine and it's true to the words. Alright, so I'm not going to do any cuts in the video. I'm just going to speed up the video so that you can see that this is a genuine test. Alright, no fakery or BS involved. Alright, I want you to see, you guys and girls, if we can see a positive result. Okay, so let's go and let's do this. So I'm off, I'm going to have a brew, and I'll see you in 15 minutes. Okay then guys and girls, I'm back and you're going to check the time, and at the moment I'm just over 17 minutes. I don't know why there's a bit of vibration, but I think the fan is catching slightly on the fire gauze, so I might need to sort that out. But what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the cooler and see what we get. Now the cooler is on medium speed. I haven't actually put it on max speed, so we'll see what we get. We're just going to take the cooler off. Okay, there's the cooler disconnected, and we're going to connect the camera. Hopefully we're still in target anyway, so that's a good thing. So I've got the camera connected up. I'm going to switch on the DSLR camera. We've got it in digital zoom mode. We've slightly lost track, so we're going to retrack again. So I'm just gonna find our target. And we're gonna record. And as we can see, actually, oh come on wind, got a bit of a strong wind coming up. Now the cloud haze, we've got a passing cloud, but it does look like the image is stabilised, but the cloud is ruining my shot and I can't see exactly, which is not good. But when that cloud buggers off, hopefully we've only done like 15-16 minutes of cooling, but I can actually tell it has improved the image quality. When this cloud buggers off, we've got loads of scattered cloud here and it's annoying, but it does actually look like it's actually reduced that shimmering a lot. So as you can see there, we have got an improvement. We've definitely got an improvement, but the cooling has actually sped up. Yeah, it's just this cloud, it's just annoying. I wish this cloud just buggers off. Come on, maybe get a bit of a clearing. Now the wind is playing up. This is real astronomy for you guys. I must admit, it has actually stabilised. Yeah, it has worked. It has actually worked. Looking at that view, I think it has actually worked. There's a lot of, but what we'll do is we'll compare the results, all right, from what it was and then what it is now. But it doesn't help when you've got this passing cloud. But as you can see there, it has actually stabilised the view a lot. So the cooling has actually sped up, and I've only been at it 20 minutes. Now usually I have to leave the telescope to cool down for a good 2 hours to get it proper adjusted. But I must admit, yeah, it has worked, yeah. You're always going to get some shimmering to a certain degree, but it definitely looks like it has worked. It's definitely worked. Yeah, it has worked. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll compare the results. What I will do is do another test. Yeah, it has stabilised. Yeah. The passing cloud's just gone away. I'm just going to yeah, it has stabilised it. It's worked. I'm really happy with this. Look at that. Oh man. So as you can see, you're always going to get some shimmering, but as you can see there in that result, in that picture now, oh yeah, a lot better, a lot better. So yeah, I'm happy with the results. So the cooling has worked. Even on medium power, if I use it on full power, maybe it will speed it up a bit, but it's definitely stabilised the image. Oh, that is miles better. So what we do is we'll compare both the results from before and after and see what you reckon, guys and girls. End of the day, the modifications work to treat, and like you say, what can I say? Good views. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a wide field shot and then call it a night, because this weather's not going to stay for long. Alright, I've got loads of patchy cloud passing by, so it's not ideal conditions. So as you can see, timed it up 24 minutes and it's definitely stabilised the view. So yeah, the SCT Coolers definitely worked a treat. So yeah, I'm going to take some wide field shots because you can really benefit that. But as you can see, I can just fit the moon it's not ideal. But yeah, it's definitely stabilized it. So as you can see, we're just going to take the shot of the moon. I might have to do a mosaic because the Maksutov is it's a very narrow field of view on that telescope, and as you can see, even with the wide field, you can definitely tell that it's definitely stabilized. The SCT Cooler has worked a treat. So yeah, I'm happy with the results from there. So we're just taking a video and then stack it. But yeah, superb results there. But yeah, it's definitely worked. Don't forget, before it was all over the place. It was absolutely all over the place. It was literally quite bad. But it just shows you that the modification does work quite effectively. So the SCT Cooler has definitely worked for me, and I must admit I'm really happy with the results so far. Well guys and girls, what do you reckon? I must admit the SCT Cooler has worked a treat. I must admit it really has worked. There is a few things I need to do on this with the vibration. Maybe I've tightened the gauze a little bit too much and it's catching the fan slightly, so I need to sort of readjust that. But as you can see, with just 20 minutes of cooling, I've got a very nice steady image of some of the close-ups on the moon, and I must admit within 20 minutes this little device here has worked a treat. And as you can see there, at another angle, but the bottom half of the moon, there's, as you can see there, it has stabilized within, like, we've been 40 minutes of been tracking the moon, and as you can see, we've got a very steady shot, very crisp. There's always going to be some shimmering, but as you can see there, we're getting some good data from the moon surface, and as you can see there, that is really impressive. So the cooler has worked a treat, and that is really good. I'm really impressed. So again, we're recording this and I'm just going to get as much frames as I can, and yeah, what a result, what a result. Well, guys and girls, what do you reckon? I must admit, I'm actually impressed on this SCT cooler. I must admit, for 20 minutes, you can tell a difference. One thing it would have helped if I put it on maximum speed. That might actually have cooled it quicker. But 20 minutes of cooling, you can definitely tell an improvement. So just 20 minutes of cooling is really impressive. So 20 minutes is so much better than 2 hours of cooling. Now, definitely worth doing this project, despite it's only cost me 40 to about 50 pounds to make this project. And I do have a slight problem with the fan that I think is catching on the fine gauze, but I will sort that out. So there is a bit of vibration where the fan blades are catching, but I will sort that out. But I must admit, this SCT cooler has worked a treat, and I must admit, it's definitely worth doing this project yourself. It really is. So again, please check out the descriptions below on how to make this design, and believe me, save yourself a lot of money in the process. And that's what this video is all about, sharing the ideas out and the knowledge to help you guys and girls. Alright, and as you can see there, my views of the close-ups on the moon are so much better. I must admit, I'm really impressed. So 20 minutes of cooling is not bad. Again, I have to apologise for the cloud and the passing wind, but this is real astronomy for you guys and girls. Alright, end of the day, my videos are not staged. So I'm recording exactly so that you guys and girls know that what I'm testing out is genuine. There will be some questions raised about the filter system. Some people say you might blow in extra dust inside. To be honest with you, it'll be very minute dust, and if it was, not a problem. Again, if you've not seen that video on the Super Tune series of the Maksutov, I super tuned this Maksutov when I did a lot of projects based around there. With that video, I go into a lot of depth how to strip out the Maksutov carefully and then put it together. And again, I have done a video on how to collimate it using the Orcal. Alright, and I must admit, even the Orcal, I can definitely tell with the collimation, the views are so much sharper. But I must admit, the SCT cooler has worked, and I must admit, I've saved myself a ton of money in the process, which means it's more goodies for later on. I've got something that works. This SCT cooler doesn't just work for Maksutovs, this will also work for the Schmidt categories as well. Alright, any closed tube design telescope, this SCT cooler will work perfectly, and it can also work for refractors as well. These things cost around 106 to about 160 pounds. That's a lot of money when you think about it. 40, 50 pounds. You can either have USB power or you can have an AC. I prefer AC because AC gives out more power. You can fit a bigger fan if you wish. Personally, I think the 80mm fan works just a treat. But if you feel you want more power, get yourself the 120mm fan, and all you do is try and figure out another way for the funnel system and exhaust port system. Simple design, very effective, and the good thing about my design is you can change the tubes, so I can fit it to the Maksutov 127. Alright, change the tube over, bang, it fits on there, and I can cool my Maksutov 127 without any problems. So again, feel free to use this video. Give this video a thumbs up, alright, because this is going to save you a lot of money in the process, and you'll get sharper views. You can tell a real difference in those images. There's definitely an improvement. Okay, with the not ideal conditions, but you can definitely tell there is something that's a lot better. It's a lot better views, a lot crisper, a lot sharper, and it is worthwhile just making one of these yourself. But again, if you don't want to, you can always cool down the conventional way But again, you'll be waiting a lot longer, and I mean a lot longer, for a good hour, maybe 2 hours, when you can cool down this optical device on this Mac within 20 minutes and off your way. You're laughing, all right? You're basically imaging, or you're observing to your heart's content. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe onto my channel. Also, share and hit the bell, all right? And I'll keep you notified for any new videos coming out very soon. And believe me, I've got loads and loads of projects and loads of reviews coming your way, guys and girls. So please, thanks again. Thanks for watching. Make yourself a SCT cooler and save megabucks in the process. So thanks again. Thanks for watching. And I wish you all clear skies.